Welcome back. This is Things You Might Not Have Heard, and I am Jay Clifton Payne. Today is Monday, April the 8th, 2024. It is Eclipse Day around the world, specifically here in Little Rock, Arkansas, expecting totality about 1:40 our time, Central Time, I believe, 1:40, 1:50. So we'll see what happens. Fortunately, I have a Zoom meeting at the time, so we'll see if I actually get a chance to see it. But it's not about me. It's about the world. It's really about you. And this thing right here is about you. We're going to present to you in moments 10 the top stories from the weekend that you deem as conversation. You vetted them as good stories covering information, politics, current events, and pop culture news. We'll explain that vetting process at the end of the headlines and give you some fun things for today, including a talk about the eclipse coming up. So stick around for all of that grand stuff. Our website, This Is the Conversation Project, is .com, I should say. Make sure .com's there so you can find out more about what we do at the Conversation Project, and email us with your wares, your thoughts and prayers at the conversation inbox at gmail.com. As I said, it's Monday, April the 8th. We have 10 stories, and we'll explain how those 10 stories got into the queue, but no particular order as they're presented. We just sort of mix them up into the better stories. We'll give you some context as we go along, just to make it look a little better. So let's get into the headlines for this morning. Starting off with headline in the first spot, 10 to go. Headline number one reads, Iowa-UConn women's Final Four match was the most watched hoops game in ESPN history. 14.24 million average viewers. So we wrapped up the week talking about Angel Reese essentially going to the WNBA draft along with her rival Caitlin Clark and how they both will lose money. But let's talk about money made while they're in college, money made for ESPN specifically. The highest rated basketball game in college ever. Literally, the biggest watched basketball game ever was had between two women's teams. One, a powerhouse that was UConn, and one was a powerhouse with the player Caitlin Clark as Iowa. And then we're not even get to the next story, which is the actual winning of the big championship game. This was just a Final Four game, a semifinal game, getting to the finals, and this was big time viewing for folks. The actual game was Iowa getting that win, 71-69, on a very controversial last second call, literally in the last second. A call that made a difference that could have swung those few points the other way. So that was there. But most people were watching to see Caitlin Clark preparing for her game the next 2 days over with South Carolina, the overall team in the tournament and the only unbeaten team all season, looking for the storyline of whether South Carolina will go unbeaten or whether Caitlin Clark and Iowa will actually get revenge from last year's loss to LSU. What was the result of that one? Well, South Carolina finishes perfect season with NCAA championship, beating Clark and Iowa 87-75. And for some reason, even though Caitlin Clark did pour in the points for her team, had a dry spell in the middle of the game, it wasn't even that close. Somewhere in the beginning of the second or the third quarter, second half, somewhere well into the early parts of that quarter, South Carolina just got a 10-point lead over Iowa, and they could not overcome that lead. So they end up winning the game, of course, by a big chunk of 2 points, basically a 10-point lead to win that actual game, 12 points to be exact. And what we get is Dawn Staley, whose team was basically a team of destiny, going on this beautiful, magical run. And of course, giving her love to Caitlin Clark for her bringing up the profile of the women's game from last year and this year as well, celebrating with her and her accomplishments, but of course, getting the confetti because it is all along about the top team, and that is now South Carolina Gamecocks, the women Gamecocks, whatever they call them for that end. I don't know if they call them women Gamecocks or lady Gamecocks, what exactly they call them, but the women have done the deed. Now, of course, tonight, the actual championship game for the men happened, but we'll see what goes there. But right now, a hard act to follow with the women taking up so much time. In fact, Saturday Night Live did a skit about essentially Charles Barkley and Kenny Smith not caring about the men's basketball team. I even know who was playing because they were watching Caitlin Clark the whole weekend. Big news for ESPN, kind of sticking with them and sticking it to them, if you will. ESPN executive called out by Pat McAfee fired after 40 years. Norby Williamson, who's had plenty of folks call him out over years, with 40 years at the network, has basically been fired. He has been fired. He is done. A lot of this comes from the criticism from Pat McAfee, who accused him of attempting to undermine his show. Essentially, Williamson didn't like the cut of his jib, being Pat McAfee, and did what he could to torpedo the very big deal that was made with Pat McAfee. Pat McAfee is kind of a, your kind of taste, you take it or leave it type of person. What he does. I love him when he does commentary on the national football games. I love it when he does his commentary on WWE wrestling because I'm just that kind of guy. Watching his show is a whole bunch of guy energy that's way too much for me to follow. I want something a bit more structured and not just yelling and screaming and the guys in the background doing the stuff. So I'm not the biggest fan, but I'm not the demo for his group. And ESPN, trying to reach that younger demo, brought in McAfee. Norby, a 40-year veteran of the network, didn't really like the cut of his jib, as I said, and started trying to tank him. What happened? Pat McAfee was very public and called him out on his show. And now Norby Williamson is long gone from the ESPN. Here's an interesting take on getting fired, or technically leaving a show and getting everybody else fired. The headline for this reads, Pete Davidson quit Bupkis, leading to cancellation. Now he's paying out money to people on the show. One of the weird things about the show Bupkis, which was, critics loved it and people loved it and was making a lot of, I guess, money and a lot of eyeballs, was the fact that Pete Davidson didn't want to do it anymore, which is his right. Many people stopped doing things. We talk about the Big Bang Theory ending because the main person playing the main character, Jim Parsons, was kind of tired of it. But it was a long-running show, and of course, they're moving on to the spinoff that he's not going to be a part of. Pete Davidson, on this new show, finding all this weird success for being Pete Davidson, didn't want to do Bupkis anymore, so he left the show because it follows him. The show was canceled, and people lost jobs. But Pete Davidson is actually paying the cast and crew, staff members, for the goodwill gesture to keep things going while they're looking for new stuff. Thank you, Pete Davidson. While he's seeming like kind of the weird, creepy guy from Saturday Night Live, he turns into essentially a really cool guy. He's got a lot of that Adam Sandler vibe, if you will, where he's, no one thinks he's a genius until he does genius things. And then it's like, oh, yes, all along. Pete Davidson kind of doing that all along and doing it fairly well. Very well, I will say. Let's go to this headline, which is a curious one we put in there, and you guys responded to it. So we got it in the top 10, or the 10 for today. It was in the top 30. We'll explain what that means. So it's in the 10 stories we have for today. And the headline reads, Deion Sanders rips Colorado football after professor says players disrespectful in class. The head coach of the college football program for Colorado publicly criticized his players after a professor reported disrespect from them in a class. Sanders expressed his disappointment and frustration upon hearing that some of his players were not fully engaged in their academic responsibilities, as indicated by the comments from the professor, and that the players being present but not really in class. You may have seen that before in your lifetime in college. Criticism from Sanders underscores the importance he places on discipline and respect. It's on and off the field. It's what you do. You act like a man. You carry yourself like a person. Prime time is prime time. Prime time talks the talk, but he also always walks the walks. He backs it up, and when he can't back it up, he's a guy who will say the truth. He'll guy say he can do it. And so Colorado football and Colorado the university, I think they got a keeper in Deion Sanders. He says he wants to be there forever. He says that. So we'll see what happens. We'll talk coaches in a bit about being there forever. But he says he's a Colorado guy. He's going to do this thing for Colorado. Why not? We'll see how long he can stay and how long he can make things happen. Last year was a miracle season. This year, we shall see. The Angelina Brad Pitt issue is something that's apparently never going away. Here's a headline we got from the weekend. Angelina Jolie claims ex-Brad Pitt has, quote, history of physical abuse, unquote, in new court filing. Angelina Jolie has made claims in a new legal filing that Brad Pitt's history of physical abuse started well before their highly publicized incident in 2016. This revelation comes amid the ongoing legal battle over a winery, Chateau Marval in France, which the former couple once shared. Now, the biggest issue is Jolie wants to sell the winery and Pitt doesn't, and so they're fighting back and forth in court over this one. This is why everything's a big deal in court. But apparently Brad Pitt, that smooth, suave-looking guy, has a bit of a temper, a bit of violent history with people, a long-standing history with Jolie, as she's saying in a new court filing. We shall see how this thing's going on. So we will just go forward with this one. keep an eye on this one going on, because this definitely is not going anywhere. And you guys care for them, care for this. We will bring it up again. Not sure why we're bringing this up. I put it in there to see what would happen, test the waters. Very highly engaging story. So Holly Madison accuses Crystal Hefner of copying her book. Why is this news? I'm not sure, because someone put it out there and you guys engaged it in, so that's why it's here. But Holly Madison has accused Crystal Hefner of copying her writing style in Crystal's new book, which details her experiences at the Playboy Mansion. Holly Madison, known for her own memoir about her time at the Playboy Mansion, claims that Crystal's work is too similar to her own, suggesting a lack of originality in the portrayal of life within the mansion. Essentially, Hugh Hefner's gig was find 3 blondes and take a lot of Viagra and have a lot of sex and have them on TV. And he did that a lot, over and over again, over and over again. And that's why we even care about Holly Madison or Crystal Hefner. This is not an OnlyFans pick, but apparently when I do something on those lines, you guys engage in it. Holly Madison, for whatever reason whatsoever, not doing anything important, wrote a book about her time with Hugh Hefner. Now she's mad at Crystal Hefner's book. It's pretty much the same book, because it's the same playbook over and over again. It just that is. Next headline. Headline number 8. Let's talk about Tesla for a while and talk about Elon Musk. Elon Musk is going to unveil a robotaxi self-driving car in August. That sounds like a terrible idea, but he's going to do it. Why? I have no idea. He's announced this Tesla unveiling the long anticipated robotaxi happening on August the 8th, 2024. I'm sorry. Just this year, not in 4 years. This development is a significant milestone for Tesla, emphasizing Elon Musk's continuous focus on self-driving technology and the crucial product for his company future. Remember, Teslas don't actually self-drive themselves. They just sort of follow the path on the road, and you're supposed to be keeping an eye on the car and have your hands on the wheel. You're supposed to. No one does. That's why they crash. We're going to see what happens with this whole thing as robotaxi services are being pulled from other cities because the cars hit other cars and people, which is really bad. Really bad. Just in case you hadn't figured out, that's kind of bad. Let's move on to the next story. That is also kind of bad. Sacha Baron Cohen and Isla Fisher filed for divorce. Apologies for that. Sacha Baron Cohen's been in the news lately. Number one, being a antagonist in a book by another author who's saying that he's a terrible person. Number two, divorce filing between him and his wife because I guess his wife thinks he's not a very good person. The couple are known for their privacy. They actually don't speak in public very, very often. In fact, Sacha Baron Cohen is basically, no one really knows he's married until they show up at a sort of thing and they have to be together. They explained the filing for divorce basically back last year. Long tennis match lasting over 20 years. Things have changed. Finally put the rackets down. Those are the sort of analogies are put into this thing going forward. So a very long relationship, a very long marriage is now ending going forward. As 2023, I guess they actually announced the divorce in 2023 happened, and we're seeing the finalizations of many of these things. It is what it is. And finally, we're going to hit Musk one more time where it really hurts this time, and that's in the wallet. Mark Zuckerberg passes Elon Musk on Bloomberg's billionaires list. Zuckerberg recently moved ahead of Elon Musk to become the third richest person in the world, according to Bloomberg's billionaire index. The shift in ranking highlights the dynamic nature of wealth among the world's top billionaires, with Zuckerberg's rising fortune pushing him past Musk in the global wealth standings. Here's the thing about the top list for the billionaires. It literally shifts day by day because most of their money is not sitting in a vault where they can swim in it like Scrooge McDuck. Yes, I love that analogy. I love me some Scrooge McDuck. And that would be awesome. But you don't actually make money on billions of dollars by having it sitting in a vault. You actually make money about it being somewhere else. And their wealth is not in cash. It's in stocks and shares of billion-dollar companies. Mark Zuckerberg and Elon Musk are rich because they are the main shareholders of two big companies, Tesla and a bunch of others for Musk, and of course Meta for Mr. Zuckerberg. And so as those stock prices go up and down, they fluctuate their money. So as Tesla goes down and Facebook or Meta goes up, They're up, they're down. This is no big deal. This is no big whoop. This is nothing really special. These people on the top list go back and forth often because they're really within pennies in billion standards or within millions of reaching each other's marks. So you will never be a billionaire. Whoever won the Powerball won't even get $1 billion. They'll only get about $600 million, and there's taxes on that one. But if you are one and you're bouncing back in wealth, don't be surprised when you're not number one for more than a week, because you're still a billionaire, just not by 3 or 4 billion, essentially. Let's go to our errors, apologies, and omissions section. We're not talking the eclipse quite yet. We'll bring it up a little bit towards the end, but eclipse is not a story until it happens, so we can't post that in there. So that's why we're not talking eclipse stuff until we see what happens. Right now, here in Arkansas, we're expecting a cloud cover and some rain, but the rain should come in the evening. So for the people leaving the state, it may be a bother, but the people sitting around waiting for the eclipse to come, we just have to make sure we have enough sky, if you will, to see the actual eclipse. We should get about 4 minutes of totality around 1:40, 1:50 Central Time. A story that we are not talking much about, but it does make a big difference, as the guy's in the news for many things. Number one, the new UFL, his joint venture with XFL and USFL, is out. Second week happened last week. We'll see how the ratings went. Right now, a lot of empty stadiums. Of course, there was the WrestleMania thing that happened where he was a highlight for 2 nights of that one. And of course, last election cycle, 2020, he endorsed President Biden because you kind of had to. This time, he's not going to endorse anybody because you kind of don't want to. Take that as you will. The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, has decided not to publicly endorse any presidential candidate for 2024, changing from his strong endorsement of Joe Biden in 2020. Why? Things change. He's not running for president anytime soon because, trust me, he's having fun doing what he's doing, but he's not putting his weight behind any political candidate for this upcoming election. Neither one of them. It's a bunch of them. Let's go on to our teaser story for the morning. This is a story we call the teaser story because this is where we explain how we get your stories in the feed, how you tell us what to talk about, and we're teasing you the fact that you can vote this story up with your engagement across the board. How does engagement across the board work? Go to Twitter or X, go to Facebook, follow our feeds on those links, our links on those sites, that's our feeds, and you tell us the stories to talk about. Like, love, hate, share, whatever emoji you want to click on, do it. And the more emojis we get, the more engagement we get to it, the better chance we have of talking about these stories later on. The story we're talking about is something we've posted a couple times, and now we're getting word from the original cast. And the headline that we have coming down the line in about an hour as we're doing this live. Original Good Times cast members don't seem to feel great about Seth MacFarlane's animated reboot. Now, we had a story last week about the people who are in the actual reboot defending the show because we had issues with various articles before that article of people saying, this looks like trash. This looks like trash. This is pretty much going to be trash. Now the actual original cast members are speaking on what's going to happen, and we want you to see what they're talking about. So look for this story in the feeds, and if you see it and you enjoy it, or maybe you hate it, maybe you're just frustrated with it, engage in it appropriately, and if it gets enough engagement, we will talk about it. Now, how's that happen? Today is Monday, and Monday we had 3 days to the last actual episode. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and a teeny bit of Monday morning. We took those stories, we put them in a big spreadsheet, we sorted them out by engagement score, and we pulled from the top 30 stories from the weekend, basically 10 per day, and gave you 10 of them. Just we took those 30 and we pulled from those to give you the headlines here. You're welcome. For tomorrow, we're going to take 15 stories of about 30 stories of the day, take the top 15, give you 8 of them for the rest of the week. You're still welcome. For that, you need to go to the feeds and tell us what stories are important, because without you, we don't have a show. We don't just pick stories arbitrarily. We pick them arbitrarily after you have vetted them as conversational. See how that tagline works? It's all connected. It's all connected. Let's go to the spotlight sponsor for the day, and we're going to talk about my glasses from Zenni Optical, and maybe your glasses as well. Zenni Optical offers affordable, great glasses for your family, whether it's you, whether it's your spouse, whether it's your children's. They've got the glasses that will take good care of you, take good care of all of you. The lenses are quality. The frames are inexpensive, and you can get whatever technology you're looking for. They have glasses for blue blocking technology to help you train your eyes on watching your screens. They have glasses that have transitions that go dark and light within the dark and light. They have glasses that are very diamond hard because they're all about getting through the, because they're all about getting through I got text messages going on while I'm doing this live. So I shouldn't turn that down. They got how to get through sports work or maybe field work, something like that. You can get the glasses that you're looking for you at Zenni Optical. Get it using our link because it costs us, or costs you nothing less, but we get a little bit back as an endorsement, as a commission. So it's that simple. Go to this. It's theconversationproject.com/Zenni. This. It's theconversationproject.com/Zenni for Zenni Optical, and you can get in on a great deal for yourself. Help us out in the process and not pay $100 to send glasses back. If you don't like these glasses, here's a tip. Just send them back. The Conversation Project lives online at thisistheconversationproject.com. We are here for you. We do this show every day, every weekday, and do things all weekend long to do the news going forward. Now, we ask you about this partnership thing we ask about. If you want to know more about how we do things behind the scenes and want to help us out because we need the help, we implore you to become a partner. We need you to become a partner. We need more partners to help things go on. And if you're a partner, you'll really know why, because we give them the insights on just how weird things are behind the scenes. So you want to know the true dirt of the Conversation Project, then become a partner and we'll let you know every single thing. Otherwise, we kind of give you bits and pieces, things going on and going forward. Life is not so much the greatest for Jay Cleveland Payne, the Payne family, and the life and times of our More Better Media umbrella company. But we are here for you. And if you like what we're doing, we appreciate it. Now, if you're not in a position to be a partner, go to the feeds. Engage in the stories. Give us the headlines we need to talk about by your engagement, and we can do with that. And you can still comment with us, still tell me things to do by going to your email machine, emailing us at theconversationinbox@gmail.com. But we do, and this is no filler, no fake. We do need help. We do need your partnership. We do need your assistance. So if you are willing and you are able, we will appreciate anything you can offer to us, and we will be good stewards of your funds and your attention. We thank you for that well in advance. And as promised, so we promised in advance, so we got to give it to you, the fun stuff. Fun stuff happens every single weekday morning here on the Conversation Project. And on this day, every day we start with birthdays. Today we're going to give shout outs to Patricia Arquette, who's 56, Robin Wright, who's 58, and John Schneider, who's 64. I'm going to be honest with you. John Schneider, who is our spotlight because he's the most impactful to my childhood because of Dukes of Hazzard. This is a day where we were lacking in kind of the sparkly sort of birthdays, but we spotlighted John Schneider last year, and we're doing it again this year. Last year, he was causing some legal issues and pursuing someone, complaining about something. I don't know, maybe Luke didn't want to sell out the rights to Dukes of Hazzard or something. I can't remember exactly what it was. He was in dire straits last year. It might have been an election thing. It might have been a Trump thing, to be honest. But we're going to give him the love that we give someone every single weekday morning, and John Schneider is our spotlight for the birthdays. But don't want to forget about both Robin Wright and Patricia Arquette, very great, very fine actresses in their own rights. Let's do our history lesson, going back to 1974. Hey, 1974. That was the year that Hank Aaron of the Atlanta Braves hit his 715th career home run in a game against the Los Angeles Dodgers, breaking the record of Babe Ruth. You may remember seeing that actual coverage of that, where Aaron is running the bases and some random white guys come out and run the bases with him, and they think, oh my God, they're going to kill him. It was a spectacle. It was a show. It was amazing. And Hank Aaron is one of those pioneers that allows people to do things that other folks didn't think they could. So thank you so much for all that, Hank Aaron. You, while I'm a very terrible baseball player, you are a pioneer. You show that people can do things and people can really show out without having to shrink as violence. We also have for today your word for the day. Learn something else today. The word is sully. Sully means to make dirty or spotty. To sully your wares, if you will, sully your reputation. Don't sully yourself because it's bad. Find out more about words, the words for today, and we'll actually bring up the word for the day. Big Words and the Big Words Project in just a moment. We'll find out more about that at thebigwordsproject.com. And today's celebration, draw a picture of a bird day. Now I'm going to ask you to go to wherever you got this from, this video or audio from, and click the link for why draw a picture of a bird day is. It's a very poignant story. The very short answer is a young girl was visiting her uncle back during the war, during one of the big wars, and asked him to draw her a bird. And he drew a bird. And it wasn't a very good bird, and she said so. So he went to his buddies, his troop, and said, hey, my niece said draw a bird. I didn't do a good job. Let's draw more birds. They drew many more birds. The sad story is that she died after about 3 years after this visit. But in the last few years, they brought this up. This story has been such a poignant story that has turned into a picture of a bird day every single April the 8th. So check out the link to get the full story, the non-butchered story, because I don't have time to go into it. But this is a very, very good one. All the things that aren't going so great these days, this is a story, even touching, heartwarming story, even though the young girl lost her life fairly soon after the concept happened. You want to know about this story. I'm not going to do very much of the begging and pleading on this one going forward, but we're going to do a little more right now. This is the Big Words Project, which is my new project and the new book that's out called Big Words You Ought to Know Volume 1. We're going to produce 12 of these things. That is the plan. And we've had many plans this year alone and in the past that have not come to fruition because of, I don't know, something happens. But this is one that we've got plenty of time and we've got a lot of head start in, so hopefully we'll get there. This book is $12 on Amazon in paperback and $6 on Kindle, and you can find it other places as well. Every single copy, $1 from each copy, is going to childhood reading programs here in Arkansas. So do me a solid and do kids a solid as well. What you're going to get from this book, it's just a reference book. I think it's pretty interesting the way I put it out there, but you get a book with 100 words in it. So if you buy it at the beginning of a quarter, which is why they're coming out quarterly, you have 90 or so days in a quarter, you get 100 words, 1 word a day to read and learn about. You get the word, you get the pronunciation. If you get the Kindle version, there's a link so you can listen to the pronunciation. And of course, 3 uses of the word in a sentence. So you can automatically go to work with that one. Check it out today. Amazon or wherever your books are sold. $1 for each of these books goes to a reading program here in Arkansas. Search for Big Words You Ought to Know, Volume 1. Search for J. Cleveland Payne. Search for me out there. There's also links inside of these things so you can keep up with what's going on and go there quickly. We thank you in advance. The kids, thank you in advance. The kids don't want to read, believe it or not. Reading is not dead. They're just reading programs, and the books they get to read are a little in flux right now. Let's fight to save those. Let's fight to save ourselves. It's Monday, April 8th, 2024. We do not expect to get superpowers such as in Heroes or have our COVID-19 vaccine microchips activated, such as didn't happen last time. So there. Nothing really weird should happen, but if we all have our glasses, we can look up in the sky and not get our eyes burned. Let's go for that. Let's shoot for that today, shall we? Today is going to be a great day, regardless of what you have on the docket, because you're going to do what you can to make it. We're asking you to stay limber and hydrated and on task to keep yourself going forward and just be awesome. Follow us on our feeds on Facebook and Twitter. Email us at theconversationinbox@gmail.com. Consider being a partner by going to our partnership page at our website. And just be great. Just be grand. Love you all. Mean it so much. Let's have a great Monday. Beginning of what should be a great week. Plenty of great things happened. WrestleMania was this past week. It was awesome. It was long. I am tired. And now I got to watch an eclipse if I can get on my Zoom meeting. Let's see how that works out. Let's see how you work out. Talk to me in your comment. And we'll see you tomorrow with more things that maybe you've heard. But, you might not have heard.